From 14 News, this is Touchdown Live in the Huddle, your live streaming pregame football show. Sponsored by Chick-fil-A West Evansville. Delivery from us to you. Order ahead through the Chick-fil-A app.
Back for year 2 of Touchdown Live in the Huddle. Man, does that feel good to say. Each week, we're going in the huddles of your favorite teams across the tri-state to give you an inside look before Friday's big games.
Plus, we're taking a deeper dive into the people who make up the teams with live interviews and feature stories to shine a spotlight on the minds behind the magic we see on the field every week.
With football finally back in the tri-state, we wanted to start off by talking with the man in charge of it all, IHSAA Commissioner Paul Neidig. Paul, how you doing?
I'm doing great today. Thanks for allowing me to be part of your show today.
Of course, thanks for coming on. Another year of Hoosier High School football finally upon us. What's the last few months looked like on your side of things?
Well, I mean, we really, once the season's over, we began looking forward to the next year. And as far as planning and state tournament preparation and contracts in place with venues, obviously we finished in one of the best football facilities in the country at Lucas Oil Stadium, home of our beloved Indiana Colts or Indianapolis Colts.
Every year, the high school football landscape is moving and shifting. Are there any sorts of changes we can expect on the gridiron this year?
Well, I think it's like any other year. I expect the quality of football to continue to rise. We've got players in this state that have achieved great things at the collegiate level, Power 5 schools across this country. And, Indiana's football continues to get stronger year in and year out. And the quality of the game in Indiana, that's certainly a tribute to the great coaches that coach our game and the student athletes that are dedicated to getting better at their craft or their game.
Yeah, there are a lot of fantastic teams all across the tri-state. Any favorites that you have down in this area, or are you staying relatively impartial?
I learned a long time ago, I can root for them all. And, I want students to have an opportunity to participate. And, but even more important than that, the most important thing for me is that second classroom, the learning, the lessons that take place every day after school on the playing field. And I think that's what I root for. That's my victory, when students have a chance to grow in an education-based football setting.
Last question for you, Commissioner. Across the country, we've seen reports of officials leaving the profession. Is that something you've seen in high school football in Indiana? And if so, are you all taking any measures to kind of keep officials around?
Yeah, we worked actively on a daily basis to recruit officials to replace the ones that may be retiring or have to move on to other vocations in life. But, it's certainly a problem for us, but we are working to address it. This past year, we've seen an increase in officials for the first time in the past 5 years. And so we believe we're trending in a positive way. And, we're always willing to accept more officials. And if any of those people are second-guessing calls in the stands, we certainly would welcome them to become an official and join our ranks.
Well, thank you for joining us, Commissioner. I know we're all looking forward to another successful year out there on the field.
Hey, very good, and look forward to seeing you around the sideline.
Coming up on In the Huddle, it's time for our Tri-State Insider segment. That's right, Mitch is right back in the studio for the second year in a row as we break down the biggest plays week in and week out.
And you can't break down the plays without talking to the men who come up with them. We'll reveal Week 1's Game of the Week, and we'll have both coaches here in studio to let us know what to expect. Stick around.
Welcome back to In the Huddle. If you're one of our returning viewers, you know exactly what time it is. I'm joined by the lovely Mitch Carter here for our Tri-State Insider segment.
Max, good to be back here. I've been licking my chops all year, ready to get back in the studio with you.
So have I. If you're new here, this is where we break down our Touchdown Live Game of the Week. Mitch was a state champ with Southridge and then played for Ball State, so it's fair to say you know a thing or two about the sport of football. We'll talk about the biggest plays, who to watch out for, and of course we'll finish up with Carter's calls, where he picks who's coming out on top.
Well, last year I think I missed one, maybe 2 picks overall, so take it with a grain of salt, but I'm looking forward to getting started. I don't miss often.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it too. Now, for the moment of truth, it's our time to go over our very first game of the week for the 2023 season. Drum roll, please. We're going to paradise, baby.
That's right. We've got the Castle Knights hosting the Huskies of North High School.
Coach Doug Hurt is looking to lead the Knights on his 18th campaign, looking to follow up on a 28-21 win last year over the Huskies that featured a brand new quarterback at the time, Caden Gordon, who's returning for his senior campaign, calling the shots, and a defensive backfield led by senior linebacker Landon Holder and junior linebacker Gavin Leach. You can't count out those Huskies, though. Coach Joey Paradin led his squad to a 6-5 season last year, their first winning season since 2007, before falling in the sectional to, you guessed it, the Knights. However, they're returning some players, too. You've got returning field general Sam McKinney leading the offense, and on the opposite side of the ball, you've got returning DB Kanan Northington, linebacker Luke Grayson, and a couple of big fellas down in the trenches. So, Mitch, two quality programs, as we mentioned, going head-to-head. What can we expect?
Well, Max, as is tradition here on In the Huddle, we're giving love to both sides, starting out with Castle. Tough, storied program coming off a semi-state run. We know Coach Hurt's going to have those boys fired up, dialed in come Friday night. So let's take a look at some of the key playmakers returning this season. First, we're taking a trip back to Week 5, where the Knights took on the Vincennes Lincoln Alices. Look to see more of our boy here, Big 14. That's quarterback Caden Gordon. You already said his name. Looking to lead the charge under center, just like he did right there, dotting up the Alices for a diving touchdown. And what's a good QB without some weapons, though? They've got them in the form of junior backfield threats, Max McCool and Isaac Salpetra. Here's Salpetra barely staying up, squeezing his way in, taking it in for 6. And right after that, here is McCool taking it, wasting no time against the Jasper Wildcats, racing up the sideline 64 yards before he punches in one of his own.
Certainly looking forward to seeing Coach Hurt lead his young men on Friday, but what about North?
Our neighbors off Highway 41, can't forget about them. Castle's got weapons, but so do they. Coach Paradin, just like Hurt, hoping to catch a dub. You don't take the field looking to lose, especially not Week 1. So let's take a look at last year and who we're also watching out for Week 1. Back once more for his senior campaign is Sam McKinney, the grizzled vet. Here's a look at him this past season. Totaled up about 800 yards through the air and just under 300 on the ground. Let's talk about Husky defense for a second, though. They gave up 28 in both meetings with Castle in 2022, so I'm looking to see them rely on their secondary a lot, especially with guys like Casey Hospelhorn, who delivered what might be my favorite play of last season. Check this out. Boom! Woo. Lands the hit and picks off the ball. I believe we got that in slow motion. You check this out. There it is. Hits him and finds the awareness there. Ouch. To pick the ball off as well. I love that play last year. Definitely a painful one, but certainly something we're looking to keep an eye on as we go. Sticking them, coming away with the pick, that kind of hard-nosed defense. That can win you games come Week 1.
All right, Mitch. Well, we've seen the tape. We've talked X's and O's. It's time for Carter's calls. Who's it going to be? What you got for me?
This is always the most exciting part for me here. It's Week 1 of official ball. They're strapping it up, looking to hit someone beside their teammates. Obviously exciting.
Yes.
But you've got the returning regional champs Castle, and you've got a hungry Evansville North team looking to cement their legacy. As always, it's a toughie, but I pride myself on picking smart, as I said.
Do you want a drum roll? Or?
I mean, I think I'll be all right. For that reason,
all right, next time.
I'm going with the Knights. Looking forward to seeing what that matchup might look like come Friday night.
All right, well, coming up on In the Huddle, don't go anywhere. We've got the coaches heading up both sides of our game of the week here in studio. We'll dig into their game plans when we come back.
Plus, we're taking a walk down memory lane, going over the biggest plays of 2022. Stick with us.
Welcome back in, everybody. It's time to talk game of the week again, but this time we have both head coaches in studio. Castle head coach Doug Hurt and North head coach Joey Paradin. Coaches, how we doing?
Great, man. Excited for the season.
Good to hear. Ready for Week 1?
Great, Max. Thank you for having us. Obviously thrilled to get it started. We've been hitting on ourselves, I think, plenty.
Yeah, well, that was going to be my first question for you guys. Just how has the off-season been going? It's been a while since we've been able to catch up with both of you.
Go ahead, Joey.
All right. Yeah, I mean, our summer's been pretty good for us. We've been able to keep a lot of kids healthy, which is always your main concern getting into the start of the season, and got a lot of good quality reps, got a lot of good backup reps for some of our guys to build our depth. And I think, now we're just ready to get the season started because it's a grind from here on out, in the SIAC. So, we get one of the toughest matches right out of the gate in Castle here. So it's just exciting to get Week 1 underway.
I think the summer is huge, obviously, Max, and it's come a long way. I think football in the state of Indiana has progressed steadily, and I think the football that we play is is really second to none, maybe not in terms of athletes, but in terms of coaching and execution. And I think our summer is a big part of it. I think maybe the coaches might like the IHSAA to build in a few extra bye weeks and change things, but certainly the opportunity to work with the young men and get your program where it needs to be come the season, I think is really, really important. And so, as I said at the outset, we've been hitting each other long enough. I think it's time to move on and play somebody for real. Obviously, the scrimmage was a good test and kind of a dry run before you get out and do it for real. I wish it were against someone other than North. I think there are other opponents that we would probably each choose if we could pick, but like Joey said, I don't think there's any conference team that you look at and say, I picked that one, because top to bottom, I think our conference is really, really strong. And I think the proof is in the pudding with the state championship appearances in the last 5 or 6 years from our conference. Speaks volumes to the quality of coaching and the quality of program that we see week in and week out.
Yeah, you guys do have that experience, though, playing against each other going back to just last year in the playoffs. Coach Parriton, talk about what's different about you guys that's coming into this season that gives you, that chance this year to get revenge against Castle.
Well, and we've got 3 games worth of revenge to try to get that. But I think it's really just we're a year older. We've been playing a lot of young guys for the last couple of years, and so now those guys that we've played for multiple years in certain positions, they're seniors for us. And so really there's no excuse for us to be coming out with a slow, sluggish start. We know what to expect in Castle, and it's going to be a hard-nosed fought game. And typically it's a war of attrition this time of year, first game of the year. You're battling cramps and everything else. I can remember one of the games Doug and I come off the field, and we're like, we didn't have anybody else on our sidelines. We both were just pulling players in, and so you got to have depth in those types of games, and you just got to be able to have that grit and that toughness to be able to grind these out, because I think our games have come down to the wire in the last few years, and it's been about a touchdown or a score game going into each and every one of those four quarters.
Awesome. Well, coaches, thank you guys, and good luck to you both in week 1. As we gear up for week 1 on the gridiron, we wanted to take a second and pay our respects to some of the biggest hits, longest touchdowns, and loudest crowds of 2022. Here's Mitch Carter with the debut of our all-new Telestrator.
Well, thank you, Max. We've talked a lot about the Knights and the Huskies, but anybody worth their salt when it comes to high school football knows there's ballers everywhere. So getting ready for week 1, we wanted to showcase some of the biggest plays of the 2022 season. Starting off, we're checking out our pals down south in the Commonwealth. Roll that tape back there. This play comes to us from our friends at Owensboro Catholic. Opening kickoff here, and Noah Reinerson is helping the Aces set the tone early, taking it out. You can see right here, they are all out of sorts on kickoff, over pursuing, losing their lanes. The kickoff team finds themselves completely out of position. And Seven's up here holding hands just now, if you saw that. But check this out. Number 3, that guy's got a family right here. Number 16 holds no bars, though, walks him down. Reinerson ends up stepping out here at the 48 as they keep going, but that sets the tone early. You love seeing the boys getting fired up. That's the kind of stuff you want to see on special teams in week 1. And the next one here was one of my favorites last year. Headed to Lincoln City in the Jungle, where Heritage Hills was taking on Madison. Go ahead and roll this one here. Right off the jump, you've got number 30 off the edge. That's Jet Goldsberry, the freshman phenom. As we get rolling, he's unblocked here, heading to the quarterback. 21 decides too late to chip him, but nope, doesn't matter. Jet's got his hands on that QB, and that ball is up in the air. Wait for it here. I know you guys are seeing what I'm seeing right here. Number 60 down here. That is Jesse Weatherholt grabbing himself that interception. And I tell you what, nobody wearing the number 6 at all in their jersey, especially starting with it, should be toting the rock. And to add insult to injury, down the sideline, no gloves, decides to put 21 on a T-shirt. He missed the block on Jet in the same play. Looks like an extra here from Stomp the Yard. Absolutely heinous activity out there in the Jungle. Now, I'm an equal opportunity highlighter, so we're heading out of Lincoln City into the land of Lincoln here, visiting our pals at Carmi High School. Go Bulldogs. This is a rainy game we're looking at. The quarterback tosses one right off the hands there. No one's wearing gloves, but check this out. Right there, number 25 is hiding in the shadows. That's Draxton Odd, lurking. Snags it, but the ball actually pops out here. Thankfully, though, you'll see here when the clip moves forward, the refs called it down, putting the Bulldogs back in business. Just a peek at some of the stuff we had rolling last year. Looking forward to even more for the 2023 season.
All right, thanks, Mitch. Next on In the Huddle, we're bringing it back. Player of the Week, but this year we're doing things just a little bit different.
And we'll break down the schedules for our other games in our area as we get ready for the most wonderful time of the year when those cleats are back on the gridiron.
Welcome back in, everyone. Before we take a look at some more Week 1 matchups, we want to remind you that our Touchdown Live Player of the Week is back this year.
That's right. Keep an eye on our 14 Sports app and on social media. We will announce nominees early in the week in open voting, and we'll have our Player of the Week revealed each week right here on In the Huddle.
That's right, Mitch, and we're adding another layer to it this year, so that announcement is coming up soon. We're excited about it, though, so keep your eyes out. Now it's time to take a look at some more games across the tri-state. Everyone's excited for our Week 1 slate. Let's take a look at what we have on deck. Starting right here in town, it's the Central Bears visiting the defending 2A state champs, Mater Dei. Game 1 of new head coach Brandon Artis' tenure with the Bears, looking to start off with a win. Then the Wrights Panthers look to follow up last year's 10-1 season. They open on Harrison Field at Romaine Stadium against Mo Sutton's Harrison Warriors. A chance for Harrison to turn some heads early, or Wrights to set their tone. Now, Mitch, I know you have a few games circled on your list. What matchups do you have?
Well, first of all, keeping our eyes outside of the SIEC just a little bit, then moving over to KHSAA. Right here, we've got Southridge heading over to Heritage Hills in the Jungle, and North Posey going to take on the Mount Vernon Wildcats. And then down in Kentucky, we've got the Apollo Eagles taking on Owensboro Catholic, and Madisonville heading out to Union County, both coming off of great seasons last year.
Thanks, Mitch, and thank you all so much for watching Week 1 of our Touchdown Live In the Huddle pregame show. We hope you enjoyed our in-depth look at some of the best football teams across the tri-state.
We'll be back each Thursday night right here at 7 o'clock to preview teams in creative ways. Of course, this would not have been possible without our entire production crew and marketing team. Thank you all for the work you've put in to make sure this happens.
For highlights of all your favorite games, be sure to join us back here on our Touchdown Live show every Friday night on our 14 Sports app at 10:35. And then, of course, we'll feature our express version on 14 News at 10. We'll see you there.